Today we'll be looking at how to prove the quadratic formula using the Po-Shen Loh method. So we all know that whenever we have quadratic equation of the form ax squared plus bx plus c equal to 0, we can solve it using the quadratic formula, which is minus b plus minus b squared minus 4ac divided by 2a. What we are trying to do in this video is to prove this formula. And we'll be using the Po-Shen Loh method for the proof. So if you are not familiar with this method, please check out the channel. There is a video that describes this method in detail and give you several examples of how to apply this method. Once you understand the method, it will be easy for you to follow this video. So let's get started with the proof. So in order to use the Po-Shen Loh method, we need to make sure that the coefficient of x squared is equal to 1. So what we'll do is that we're going to divide everything by a. In that case, we'll get x squared plus b divided by ax plus c divided by a equal to 0. Then we need to calculate the midpoint. So the midpoint is equal to minus the coefficient of x divided by 2. In this case, the coefficient of x is b over a. So minus b over a divided by 2. Or I can write this as minus b to a. I can bring this a down. So this gives you minus b divided by 2. The other step in the Po-Shen Loh method is that we'll assume that the solution will be the midpoint, in this case, minus b divided by 2a plus u, and the midpoint, which is minus b divided by 2a minus u. Next, we know also that the product is equal to the constant coefficient. So in this case, it's equal to this. And also we can calculate it by multiplying the number that we have. So from the constant coefficient, we know that the product is equal to c over a. And by our assumption, this is also equal to minus b over 2a plus u times the other root. And this leads to c divided by a minus b squared minus u squared. Let's make the u on one side and take all the numbers to the other side. So I'm going to move the u to this side and I'll take this number to that side. So we'll get u squared minus b over a, or u squared equal to b squared. When you square, the negative sign will go, and here we have 4a squared minus c over a. I can also write this one in the following form. I take 4a squared as a common, so we'll have b squared minus 4a squared divided by a. This will give us 4a. So we'll have 4a times c. And then we just need to take the square root to get the value of u. As you know, we can take either the positive or negative, it doesn't matter. So in this case, let's take the positive root. So the square root of this whole thing, b squared minus 4ac divided by 4a squared. You can see that for a square, I can take the square root of it easily. This will be the square root of 4, it will be 2. The square root of a squared, it will be a. Here we'll have b squared minus 4ac. And then our solution will be the midpoint plus u. See, this is our solution. Midpoint plus u and the midpoint minus u. So the midpoint will be minus b over 2a plus u, which is b squared minus 4ac divided by 2. Or the midpoint minus u, which is b squared minus 4ac divided by 2a. I can write this again in the equivalent form. I can write this for a here minus b plus b squared minus 4ac, or again here 2a common for both, minus b minus b squared minus 4ac. And then you can combine these two expressions. You can see that those expressions are the same, except you have a sign of plus here and a minus here. So we can combine them by writing them in this form, plus minus, to combine the solution. And that improves the quadratic formula. Now, before we end this video, let's look a bit more to this formula. This will give us insight into why the discriminant determine actually the number of solutions. So we have this formula. Now, one thing we know is that we are squaring a number. So it doesn't matter what is the number. This cannot be negative. So this cannot be negative. If u is minus 3, for example, when you square it, it will be 9. So because of we are squaring here, this side, the left-hand side, is either 0 or positive. It cannot be negative. Now, if you look at the right-hand side, you can see that this is always positive. We are squaring a number. Remember, a cannot be 0. Here, a is not 0. It's not equal to 0. Otherwise, we'll not have a quadratic equation. So that's important. So since a is not 0, so this is always positive. So what left is this term, and maybe you know that this is called the discriminant, which determines the number of fruits that you will have. Now, looking at this, let's see what will happen. So if b squared minus 4ac is less than 0, it means negative. What will happen is that you'll have u squared equal to negative value. This is negative divided by positive, give you negative. Now, this is a problem because we said that u squared cannot be negative. And we're saying that now it's equal to negative. What this means is that there is no real solution. We will not be able to find any real number that when we square it will give us negative. There is a solution if we consider complex number, but if you are considering real number, there is no real solution for this case. Now, this one was 0. What will happen is the following, that this is 0 divided by 4a squared. So that will give you 0. In other words, what you will get is u squared equals to 0, or in this case, u equal to 0. Now, our solution will be, you remember, this is our assumption. The solution is the midpoint plus u and midpoint minus u. Since u is 0, you can see that what we are getting is just one solution, minus b over 2, because both of these will give you the same thing when u is equal to 0. So here we are getting one solution. And then finally, of course, if this is positive, what we'll have is that u squared, this. So this is positive divided by a positive number. This will be some positive value. And in other words, u will be also positive. Number is positive itself. And this will lead to two solutions. Again, from here, you can see that I'm adding a positive number to this and subtracting a positive number. So this will give us two different solutions. So there are here we have two different solutions. Notice on this step here, u squared equal to something. We know that there are two roots. One is positive, the other one is negative. However, if you take the positive or you take the negative, both of them will lead to two different solutions. We have already discussed this on the video that explained the Po-Shen Loh method, and you can go back to that video in the channel to see that whether you take the positive or you take the negative value for you, both will lead to the same solution. Finally, if you find this video useful, please give it a like and don't forget to subscribe to the channel and turn the notification on so that you get notified about new content. Thank you for watching.